kind of self-knowledge, I think it would give us some really great, just practical dating tools. First of all, what would it give us? It would give us the ability to know how to break up well. This is important, and I've always said this in dating and relationships talks. I think that the reason that a lot of people don't date is because they don't know how to break up. Because they're terrified of hurting somebody. Because you're all so freaking nice, right? Because it's terrible to hurt somebody. Because the last time you broke up with somebody, or even just went for coffee with somebody and then didn't want to go again, they were devastated. I remember in my early dating life, breaking up with somebody and thinking, wow, like, you really overreacted. I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. And I remember saying to myself when I was 23 years old, the next person I date, I'm going to marry. Well, that didn't really work out, right? It would be a lonely existence if you can't try with someone just because you're so scared of hurting yourself or other people. You have to be willing to protect our own hearts, to hold on to our own hearts, and to get out there and be able to take chances with ourselves and our hearts, right? So I think if we had a good amount of self-knowledge, we'd be able to learn how to break up with people honestly and well, and that would help us in our dating. I think another thing that it would help with, honestly, whoops, I'm getting my cards, is that it would help us to be able to let go and move on when things aren't working. How many of us know people in relationships that should have been over 6 months ago? Oh, the nodding. Oh, yes. But it's never me, right? That's where that friend, that good friend, could come in and help us discern, right? But self-knowledge would help us know how to move on prudently, wisely, and lovingly, right? To love ourselves enough to move on when it's not really right. I think it would also, this kind of self-knowledge, I'm always making a mess when I give a talk, aren't I? That this kind of self-knowledge would help us to understand, this is going to go back to maybe a talk you heard me give when you were at Boston College, would help us to know what kind of dating we're doing at any given time. Because there's a lot of people, and I'm not going to point to anybody, but you know who you are, and I know who you are, who are in a serious relationship by date 2, right? And one of the things that I really like to talk to students and now young alums about is what kind of dating is good dating for where you are in your life. And guess what? You're not in a serious relationship by date 2. You're just dating by date 2. And if you're not, you're a freak, right? You need to calm down. And you need to slow it down and pace it out, because that's what I always say to undergrads is one of the great things about dating in the real world, that you should be pacing it much more naturally. As Danny said, you don't live right next door to each other and have access to each other all the time. So you have to really make the effort. Have you noticed that in your young adult, now adult life? Is that you really have to make much more of an effort, a commitment, to maintain friendships and to enter into a relationship with somebody. It's no longer just, I'll see you as I cross campus, or I'll see you at the cafeteria, or I'll run into you when I run into you at 2 in the morning when we have a meeting or something. Self-knowledge is going to help us to understand what's the kind of dating that we're doing when we're doing it. Are we just finding out about somebody? Am I trying to date somebody that I work with, and I have to acknowledge that it's not some Jim and Pam situation from the office, right? That it could be awkward and problematic? That if I'm really spending time in my grad classes not focusing on my ministry class, but I'm focusing on that person who's sitting right there in the desk next to me, loving that person from afar. That's stealth dating in grad school, right? I think that self-knowledge would also help us make decisions. I talk to a lot of younger adults who often tell me, I don't know what I want. I'm at the point where I thought I knew what I want, now I don't know what I want anymore. A lot of us, a lot of people who have the privilege of going to an amazing elite university, have the problem of the tyranny of choice, right? So many amazing things are available to us. It's hard to choose. It's hard to make a decision. And you can't make a real and genuine decision unless you do that self-knowledge work. And the last thing I think self-knowledge would help us with is to know when we're putting out too much or when we're putting out too little. How to know what the right amount is in terms of a relationship. Have you ever had someone say to you, yeah, we were in that relationship, but I didn't think you were ever really there? Right? When someone says that to you, or when you're hearing the same sorts of things over and over again, there's a good deal of self-knowledge that is called for there. There's knowledge that we have to have of ourselves and how much intimacy we're comfortable with, and how much intimacy in terms of real closeness with people, in terms of the kind of revelatory stuff that dating is about, that we can really engage in. And so I think that self-knowledge, in the Aristotelian sense, or in any old sense, in the Lonerganian sense, Lonergan says it's hard. One of the hardest things to do is to pay attention. Because paying attention, which seems like an obvious thing, like, don't I pay attention all day long? Lonergan says to pay attention intelligently and lovingly to what is moving us, to what is motivating and animating us, is really a difficult thing. And it's an important thing to be able to do this thing, dating and relationships, really well. And it's so possible. It's so right there. And you've arrived there. That's the thing that really makes me so excited about thinking about this with people your age, is because you did get there. And at BC, we knew you could get there. We gave you that amazing education. We told you to go on some trips. We did some formational stuff with you. We had Father Himes talk at you and talk at you again, and Father Jack talked at you. And we tried to light you on fire so that you could go light other people on fire or something like that. Right? But to really live your life, to bring yourself into the world, to find that you are capable of really falling in love, really finding someone and loving and supporting that person, you've got to have a lot of self-knowledge about the baggage you bring, about the baggage you have to leave behind, about the baggage you have to take some time to unpack, and about this next topic, which Annie's going to talk about, which is to not only know yourself, but to love yourself.